Broadcasting live. It's America's longest running talk show on computers. It's Computer America, bringing you the biggest names in technology with guest interviews, new products, and your emails. Listen live at computeramerica.com on any device around the world. Email the show at live@computeramerica.com or find us on social media. Be sure to check out our website for contests, giveaways, show notes, live video stream, podcasts, and more. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. We are the nation's longest running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers and technology. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Ben Crossman. Everyone out there, I hope you're having a wonderful day and you are ready for some Computer America, where today on the program, we are going to have a company talking all about gesture and motion control and how that integrates with AI as well and wearable technology. And really, this is the kind of thing that's going to be powering, so much of our future. That's, something much more natural, much more fluid, much more responsive than, let's say, a voice command or something that, you kind of have to go out of your way to really control, rather something that just, things that you're doing naturally. This makes a lot of sense. So let's just, so before we get started, first things first, computeramerica.com. That's where you'll find everything, including the show notes. It will have past shows, future shows. It will have a link to our guest website, any articles that we talk about when we do computer and technology news, all that kind of thing, along with our own articles, reviews, and other things of that nature. So again, computeramerica.com. That's all you have to remember. Although, of course, we're going to be spending the hour talking to the Tactigon. And if you want to check them out directly, be sure to do that. thetactigon.com, TACTIGON.com. Or, I'm sorry, I should say the Tactigon. So TACTIGON.com. So definitely check them out. But if you haven't heard of the company, this is going to be the perfect show for you. And we're going to go ahead and just get things started here. So joining us today, and of course they are joining us from Italy, so we're very, very thankful for that. So joining us today is Mr. Max Bellino. He is the CEO of the company. And of course we have Nadia there in the background as well to kind of help us along with this interview. But of course, Max, welcome on to Computer America. How you doing?
Fine. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Our pleasure, our pleasure. So I think a good way to start off the interview, as we do with most interviews, is a little bit of background on yourself and the company. Talk about the Tactigon, when was it started, and then talk about your background. Have you always been in high technology? Have you always been an entrepreneur? Talk about how you kind of got involved in motion control.
Okay, my name is Max Bellino. I come from Milano, Italy. And my background is I am an engineer with MBA graduation. And I founded the company 5 years ago in Milano. And we start our business with a movement sensor, because our first product was a sensor, IoT sensor for movement. We do use this sensor to recognize the movement of the bridge, the dumps, and the gallery. This is our first business. After this experience, we move ahead with Tactigon. Tactigon is our second experience in the wearable. and we want to create a very interesting product. We want to shake a user experience with a new product and a new approach to user interface. For this reason, we use our technology sensor to recognize the movement of the hand. And this inspiration from the first inspiration from for the Tactigon.
I gotcha. No, and really, this is a technology that I think people haven't used all that much in their day-to-day lives. I think that the closest that many people have gotten to any kind of input where motion is really a factor, maybe things like Snapchat, where you have those filters that will do certain things when you shake and move them. But even that is just kind of even that's just like a toy compared to what it is that you're offering here with your product. So this idea though, and you mentioned wearables. I mean, there's so many ways you could have taken this gesture control, motion control. We've seen in the past other companies have decided to do a camera, and certain gestures that you do will register on the camera. If you wave your arm, if you lift your arm at a certain angle, things like that would activate kind of actions. Why did you feel wearable was the way to go when it came to gesture control and motion control, as opposed to something like a camera? Was it more accurate, or why wearable?
With the first choice is was for us to create a device, wearable device, standalone, because for us create a great interface with the computer, with device, it means create a standalone device. And we choose this direction. We create this device with a particular form factor. Is like a little lapshot, and we are inspired from the guitar, because we are all our component of the Next are musicians, and a lot of people working in Next play guitar or bass.
Very interesting. So fit very, very naturally. For anyone out there watching the video portion, we currently have your website up here in the background, and people can see exactly what the device looks like. And of course, you're free to elaborate on maybe the buttons and switches and what they do. And now might be a good time to also talk about just some of the capabilities of this device. But they're little devices. They kind of wrap around your I guess the back of your hand in your palm, and they, so your fingers are not restricted at all. You can still move. You can press buttons on the devices themselves, and completely wireless, of course. They look very ergonomic and very comfortable to use. But like I said, doesn't restrict motion at all. Talk about how you would see someone maybe using these, some of the features and capabilities that I'm guessing for like presentations and things like that. What are the Tactigon really capable of?
The Tactigon is a platform. It's like a platform.
Oh, okay.
This means you can connect to the different digital object, because you can download a little app or sketch inside the device. The device changes the functionality. We use the Tactigon with different device. We use in a gaming area. We interface to Android tablet for a game application. We interface Tactigon to the PC for PowerPoint or 3D design, 3D software design, and we use the Tactigon with robots. Because in educational robot, it's very useful to have a small device and wearable device.
I gotcha. Yeah, and of course, all So the platform itself, and you really see this beyond just the just the wearables that you have, but the platform itself. Where are you hoping to see all this go? Are you hoping to see that this platform that you're building out? You kind of give an example here of here on your website of PC games, robots, VR, AR, computers, 3D printers, drones, more. I mean, this platform that you're building. Are you hoping that it's the platform that will help people interface with this, or this is how all of those things that I just kind of rambled off there, these are how people will prefer to interface with them? How do you see yourself, kind of fitting into these products? Are you the interface, or are you the platform to build further integration with other devices and things like that?
May I jump in?
Please do, please.
Dave, because when we developed the Tactigon, we had a 360-degree public in mind. So our first focus, our first target were the so-called makers. So all those people who love technology and who love building up on their own applications. And so the Tactigon can be used in two different ways. So you can download a sketch from our marketplace, just install and use as is, so as a preset device. Otherwise, it has an Arduino SDK, so you are free to develop your own software. So you can decide your own commands and combinations according to the application. Okay.
For instance, we worked with Nokia and Orange last year in the April, and Nokia chose our solution because it's open and very simple to integrate in a demo. In demo, Nokia chose the Tactigon to present the 5G World Conference, and the CEO of Orange used our device to move the sky camera from Paris to Marseille. And for the developer of Nokia, it's very simple to integrate our technology in this demo. This is a real example of integration of our technology in a real world.
And of course, I love that you built it on the Arduino, SDK. People are very, very familiar with that, and like you said, the maker community, So you really see this as a product that you're putting out there, and you're hoping that other people will. Of course, you have many uses that you have, that you can find on your website. But you're hoping that that this will be a tool that the maker community can use to power some of their own devices and power some of their own ideas. And once again, people watching the video portion, you have this great 3-minute demonstration where you're using it to control video games. You're using it to control a robot, kind of forward, back, turn. It seems very, very natural, and it's very versatile, just how many different platforms that you can definitely use this thing on. So those are all the different applications of your product. Tell us about CES 2020, because that just happened about a week and a half ago. We were out there, of course. It was it was such a big event, and I hope that you guys had a lot of fun. But if you wouldn't mind touching on CES 2020 real quick, I'm assuming you guys showed off your product there. What was the reaction? How was the event for you guys?
Okay, so this was actually our second time at the CES, because we were there also last year. And this year we presented two news, so two novelties: the black edition of the Tactigon skin, together with our gear software. And this is particular because we had a demo there with an educational robot arm. And through our demo, we showed how through simple gestures, so like a square or a circle, the robot knew to go in certain positions. What does this means? This means that through our gestures, we taught the robot to move and to be in certain position before we came to the show.
Mhm.
And when we were on the exhibition ground, we simply had to turn on the robot and use it. In an industrial or also in an everyday context, this means that there is a time-saving procedure for people to reprogram a robot. Normally, these what you need are technical skills or very long procedures to follow in order to reprogram a robot if you move it from one place to another. In this case, through the gesture, the robot learns the movement, what to do, and can do it in the same way, even if it changes places. So this was our aim, and especially the aim was to make it simple for everyone's use. In fact, we used the demo during the exhibition, but we also let other people try it to see how it was easy.
Very, very, yeah, and I guess that's where some of the AI comes in as well. I mean, being able to train it and just kind of pick it up and move it, and it works independent of a very specific set of conditions. That would be amazing for an industrial application where you could have I guess the people on the floor sit there and really refine and tweak the robots there on, let's say, a manufacturing floor, as opposed to having someone, like you said, with very high technical skills, much more expensive, come out and work on it themselves. And of course, you're saving time, you're saving all that kind of thing. And as you kind of mentioned there on the website, maybe this is where that artificial intelligence comes in. You're using that to in what regards? Where maybe it's learning to do a certain process better over time. It's you mentioned training. How does artificial intelligence kind of work in with the system that you've built?
In this case, artificial intelligence, we use artificial intelligence to recognize the best movement for the people, because different people have a different movement of the hand. And with artificial intelligence, we are able to recognize in very easy way the gesture. Artificial intelligence, in this case, is used to teach the robot the movement. There is like a bridge from machine and human.
Yeah, so obviously not everyone is going to, let's say you want to do like a side swipe left, or you want to swipe with your hand left. Not everyone's going to do that exactly the same. So you're saying that your system is going to better recognize those gestures over time, and it's going to essentially learn you instead of you having to learn how to talk with or do it perfectly. It's just going to know. So that's perfectly, that's what you want. You want machines to understand you, not you have to speak fluent machine. So that's exactly. So with and kind of like you said, the first time you're out there, you showed with the robot arm. Second time you're out here with this controller, and you're letting people kind of do this themselves, which is a quite an amazing leap that you've made in just a single year. Why don't you talk real quick about the future and how you see yourself as a company? Because really, you've built the platform, you've built a device that people can kind of utilize to use with anything. It's very, very open-ended. Where do you see yourself as a company, kind of moving on from here? Is it more products? Is it more integration with your platform, with the Tactigon? I mean, what's next?
For us, the next is two directions. One direction is more integration. This means more device to talk with our Tactigon. The other direction is miniaturize the device and integrate other type of natural user interface like voice and like voice. I think these are two directions we want to go.
Yeah, that is a very popular thing, and of course, I'm sure that and sometimes I have these ideas, and I definitely share them with our guests because you guys do all the heavy lifting, you guys have put in all the effort, and I'm just sitting here thinking, it would be really cool if, and so many people out there have these digital assistants nowadays, your Google or Amazon products or things like that. It would be very cool if either people who are nonverbal or don't want to speak and want to have a different way to control their digital assistants, if they could have some way, not like a remote, but much like the Tactigon skin that you have available, but if they're able to control it, let's say their partner's sleeping and they want to pick up their Tactigon skin and swipe to play white noise or do something like that, being able to control digital assistants without a voice but with a motion control or gesture control, something like that would be very cool. And I'm sure if someone was pioneering enough, they could, and I'm assuming they could use your product and your API to do that already. Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you, sorry.
Yeah, and sorry, I said that a little long-winded. Do you see yourself, or are you hoping that other people who use your product will? Do you see yourself working with digital assistants, such as the ones from Google or Amazon?
Yes, we are open to integrate our device to other platforms like Google Home and Amazon Alexa. This is for us is a third phase, and is in our roadmap plan because it's very useful to have gesture and voice recognition to interface with other device. Is in our plan to integrate digital assistant to our platform. Yeah.
Yeah, very, very well said. And I think now, if you wouldn't mind, we're going to change the conversation just a little bit. Again, thank you for your time and joining us here. But I wanted to switch a little bit to what it means to be an entrepreneur, and what it means to kind of start your own business and your own company. And it's we have so many people on the show that do that, and every one of them has a different experience with this kind of thing. And they have their own advice, and we definitely appreciate that. So I wanted to, talk to both of you about what it's been like to, start this company, see it grow, have an idea, and realize that it's not just enough to just have an idea. You actually have to make the product, build the website, build the product, promote the product, and things like that. How has making the Tactigon, how has making this company been for you? Has being an entrepreneur been a good experience for you?
Yes, it is a good experience. I would rather say it's an everyday challenge, actually speaking, because you should love what you do, and you should extremely believe in what you're doing. So you should be ready to go onwards among many difficulties, because thinking about a new product and bringing it on the market is absolutely not an easy task. In any case, we thanks to a team's work, this could be possible, and of course you should be ready to face everyday problems. In our experience, being a small startup, the everyday problem we have to face is the problem of cash flow, because we have to maintain our company, work, and expect results in a later time. So we have to find out funds in order to develop and to be ready to bring the product on the market. So everything that concerns bringing a product on the market, from marketing activities to production.
Yeah, and I'm sure that all those challenges, those are, many of the same challenges that a lot of people out there have to figure out. And I'm actually kind of curious. So when entrepreneurs come on the show, when they have a product much like yours, well, not exactly like yours. I mean, this is something that I definitely haven't seen before. But when they have a product that they've built, kind of in their own labs, and they've developed it, many decide to go through like a crowdfunding, situation, Kickstarter, GoFundMe, so on and so forth. Have you done something like that? And if you haven't, would you consider it? And if you did, how did that work out for you?
Okay, so we actually considered, actually speaking, we were working with one of the most famous agencies in US for this, but unfortunately we had to face the problem of the death of the owner of this company.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And and so the cooperation and the work with this company has been stopped for this reason. So now we are still working to go on a crowdfunding campaign, because we have been working since almost a year on this, and we do not want absolutely to lose all our work. So we are restarting with another agency, and we are preparing for this crowdfunding campaign, hopefully in the next 2 months.
Very, very nice. And I'm glad that you're able to carry on and you're able to pick up where, kind of where he left his work. It would definitely be a shame for something as cool of an idea as what you have here to kind of stop. So I'm really looking forward to your crowdfunding campaign. I'm sure that will go very well. And, please send us a message here at Computer America. And we love to add this, to the interview in the show notes when that's up. And, be sure to let people know about it. But in the meantime, I think there, unless, Nadia or Max, either one of you, unless there's any parts that we missed or anything that we didn't talk about, I think we've covered your product and your platform pretty well. Is there anything that we missed that you wanted to talk about?
Maybe only the beginning, the very beginning of
sure.
Tactigon, because it has got a family story behind this product.
Please do.
Of a dad and the daughter, and his daughter playing together. A daughter with a dream of being like a superhero, and the daughter asking his father to build up something to be like, Iron Man. And so this was the initial inspiration that brought to the final product with attention to the gestures.
So something sort of like Iron Man, something like a superhero, and of course everything that Iron Man was able to do with his. I don't think you have the blasters down yet with the Tactigon skin, but I'm sure maybe in the next iteration you'll have weapons built into this thing. But being able to seeing how versatile, and that's an entirely different topic that we talk about here on the show, which is the innovations of the future seem to mimic what kids kind of grow up with. And then, of course, kids of today turn out to be the scientists, the engineers, the ones who have to make things in the future. I think that's why when, back in the 2000s, if you go back 20, 30 years, when kids were growing up that are now the engineers of today, everything kind of looked like Star Trek. Everyone was trying to find a way to mimic all the devices that they saw on Star Trek. and that's, kind of what we were stuck with in the 2000s. Hey, maybe in 10, 15 years, kids of today that are inspired by Iron Man, they're going to start really trying to make things like that a reality. So but like I said, that's an entirely different point, and that's just kind of a fun observation that we have. So thank you so much for telling that story. And you're right, we love it when companies have more than just, a group of investors sat around a table and we said, this would be a good investment. No, that's a very boring story, and you have a very good story and a good background. And I would say a very, very good company and a great product. So everyone, once again, if you want to go find out more, THETACTIGON.com. We'll have a link in the show notes. And okay, one last time. I think that's about it. So please, if there's any last words, or if there's anywhere else that you think would be a good place to find more information, where can people go?
We are social, so you can find out in all the social, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, whenever you want.
The Tactigon.
The Tactigon is the ID.
I gotcha. And right there at the bottom of the page, you have links to everything as well: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Definitely go check that out. And we'll probably throw over a follow as well. And again, thank you so much for coming on the show and, explaining about your product. Gesture control, wearable gesture control, motion controller with AI. And of course, the platform, the SDK, the API, that if you have your own idea about, gesture control, hey, you definitely allow people to do that themselves as well. So the maker community just got a lot better. So once again, everyone, we've been talking to the Tactigon, and both of you, I want to thank you so much for joining us here on Computer America. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you to you for your time and for your attention.
Our pleasure. And like I said, please be sure to send me a message, reach out when you have launched your crowdfunding, because we'd love to let people know. So until then, thank you so much. Have a great day, and good afternoon.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much. So everyone there, we want to thank again the Tactigon so much. I should have looked up what it is for. For those of you who are not very good in your, you're not very good in your accents. They were from Italy. Yes, Italy, and they were in Italy. So and I probably should have looked up what it is good afternoon in Italian. Let's see, good afternoon in Italian. We're looking at buon pomeriggio. I butchered that awfully. So everyone, now that was a great interview. Really, really, really happy that we were able to get them, to come on the show. And now we're going to go ahead and do computer and technology news, and that is, of course, brought to you by Computer America. Everyone, this is a segment where we try to keep you up to date and really just, informed, because we do this on a daily basis and we can barely keep up with it ourselves. We can't imagine how you guys even attempt to do it, with actual jobs. So everyone, let's go ahead and do computer technology news. As I said, brought to you by Computer America. Let's go ahead and start with a couple of these different stories, and I think we're going, this headline just caught my attention, and I thought, well, sure, why not? Condoms. Yeah, I know, what a segue. Condoms. Not very often we talk about this. It's a very simple idea. Contraceptive doesn't really change all that much, and you're wondering, why am I mentioning this? Why am I just really alienating all the parents out there that are listening to this around their kids? Or why are kids suddenly hearing about condoms? Well, this one is actually, it's interesting. It's, how do I put this? Condoms won a Tech Innovation Award, and they change colors depending on a contact with a particular STD. So that's it's very interesting. And of course, there's going to be a few hurdles here. And I think that the first one is going to be cost. And then, obviously, production manufacturing of something like this. But if they're able to do this cost effectively and they're able to work it into existing condoms, then this could really have a truly profound effect. So here we go. This is by Eric Dodds. This is actually from Time. And they're saying that 3 British teens, 2 14-year-olds and 1 13-year-old, have proposed an idea for a new type of condom that could detect sexually transmitted diseases amongst, partners. And they said that there would be antibodies in the condom that would react with antigens of STDs, causing the condom to change colors depending on the disease. For instance, if it were one disease, it would be yellow, and if it were for another disease, it would, of course, be, for another. So you can have purple, green, yellow, blue, any different color. So the idea, of course, is not without its imperfections. It's unclear whether the STIs would be detected in just the user's partner or in the user as well. In addition, there's an awkward question of what would happen if the condom came in contact with 2 or more STDs. I don't know, maybe prime colors and then they mix, and then it looks like a super STD, which probably wouldn't be good. Probably wouldn't be good if the condom came out, rainbow colored either. That would be awful. So not to mention the logistical difficulties of figuring out a way to determine the color with sufficient opportunity to make sure of those findings. And I think here there's, it's not so much about, I actually really do like the idea. From a tech standpoint, it's simple, it's intuitive, it's great. There are many issues that come into mind, like I said, about production, manufacturing, how long these condoms will, stay effective for, and things like that. And really, I would be more interested in just one of these condoms that detected any form of STD. If it came in contact with any of the known STDs and then it were to change color, even just, not being specific to an individual disease, but being able to just let you know that you have, there's a possibility that you have any one of these diseases, that could be something very, very interesting that you could then just, it would just be included, and then you could then go to a proper facility and get tested. Because one of these things is not, they shouldn't be used for diagnostic purposes. They should be used for as like a warning system, or, something is off here. So I'm hoping that if this idea gets out there, I'm hoping that it goes out in the form of something has changed. Go get yourself tested. Go get yourself checked out. That would be where, we kind of hope to see this happen. So, like I said, caught my attention. That was a very different kind of headline, and hey, I thought it was a good way to, to kind of start out computer technology news. It doesn't have to just be that. Excuse me. So let's go ahead and. Let's go ahead and talk about this. I think our next topic that we're going to talk about is HP and the infamous Ink Cartridge debacle. And by debacle, I mean that's just something that, not debacle, pain point. People have such an issue with ink cartridges, digital rights management, and of course we've had HP on the show talking about this kind of thing. This article coming to us from Motherboard Vice. And time and time again, the issue comes back to HP doesn't want low quality ink cartridges to ruin their products. And I'm giving both sides of the argument here. I'm not taking sides. So HP's reason for digital rights management, and the reason that you can only use approved HP cartridges that come from them, refills, refurbished, things like that. That's one reason. They they want to make sure that you're using high quality ink and you're using high quality ink cartridges so that your product stays, fit for use. The other option, of course, is that, these ink cartridges, by and large, are perfectly fine. They work very, very well, and refills, refurbishes, off-brand, or kind of not name brand ink cartridges, they have to continuously work themselves, and they do work, and they are compatible with HP printers. So those are the two sides. And of course, the consumer is always looking for something cheaper, more cost effective, and still gets the job done. And that's where refillable ink cartridges come in, and that's where off-brand and kind of knockoff ink cartridges really start to catch people's attention. And then the other part is digital rights management on existing ink cartridges. So check this one out. This is HP remotely kills perfectly good ink cartridge with digital rights management, saying that the half-used ink cartridge wouldn't print until it was re-enrolled in the HP Instant Ink program for $5 a month. Saying that Ryan Sullivan was trying to print out a tweet about toilet seats when his HP printer told him it wouldn't happen. Sullivan's printer had plenty of ink, but HP had remotely disabled its printer because he'd canceled a service called Instant Ink, a monthly service charge HP levies for the pleasure of using ink cartridges in certain printers. Sullivan had a printer full of ink, but no way to print until he reactivated his subscription. And they have a tweet here. They have a tweet here saying this is actually the picture that he took in his tweet. HP Instant Ink cartridge cannot be used until printer is enrolled in HP Instant Ink. So printers have always been the worst piece of computer equipment, and they're unreliable, and the ink is expensive. As printers became cheaper and more reliable, manufacturers began charging ridiculous prices for ink because the high ink prices created a robust third-party market that the manufacturers, HP in particular, attacked by using digital rights management updates to brick printers using off-brand printer cartridges. So the use of third-party ink cartridges and the circumvention of printer DRM even became an important support court case in Impression Products versus Lexmark. And they ruled that Lexmark had exhausted its patent to its printer cartridges and that Impression Products was free to refill used ink cartridges and resell them. So that's what that case was. Even though essentially what the Supreme Court case said was that after a user is finished with their product, which is an ink cartridge, that is completely run dry, that is the end of the product life cycle. That is where their trademark and their patent really runs out. It's because, again, that is the end of the product. So then Impression Products is able to get that, essentially recycle it, refill it with ink, and then sell it back to users. They said that HP, Epson, and Lexmark attempted to use digital rights management to force people to purchase expensive printer cartridges, but retreated from the practice after backlash from customers and consumer rights groups and the Supreme Court case. So the Instant Ink subscription is just the latest twist, saying that on their website, which we're going to go ahead and pull up right there, you can see. According to their website, buying into the Instant Ink system allows you to stop worrying about ever buying ink again. For $5 a month, a customer can print up to 100 pages. When the toner is out of ink, HP will simply ship you more free of charge, and by free, they mean included in the $5 a month purchase. It sounds like a good deal, but in practice, it can lead to a situation where the consumer is paying a monthly subscription that costs way more than buying ink as you need it. Which is very true. Many ink cartridges cost, anywhere from $10, $15, $20, depending on what kind of model you have. And you're looking at about $60. So, and of course, that $60, it's, if you print infrequently, like if you print the perfect 100 pages per month that you're allotted, and those pages are full color and you're really getting the most out of it, it's kind of like going to an all-you-can-eat buffet. You can beat the buffet. Like, you can make the buffet lose money, but it's not good for you. You're just going to leave feeling really depressed, and there's not really a reason to. It's most of the time the buffet is going to come out ahead, and HP is most of the time going to come out ahead here as well. They said that buying a new black ink cartridge would cost about $46. When I canceled the service, I figured I was turning off some kind of renewal service, but never did the thought even cross my mind that the ink that was physically in my printer would stop working. Sullivan didn't print out the tweet, but and he said that he decided to replace his HP printer. I'm not going to resub. It bothers me pretty fundamentally that the ownership of this device is not actually my own, but he had to pay a monthly subscription. So we talked about this actually yesterday on the show, this idea that these connected products, the support for them matters a lot. It's the support for them, you're buying into an ecosystem, and especially something like this, where a connected device matters a lot about who's running it behind the scenes. And when you buy something like this, and I guess his main problem is that he physically has the ink in his printer. He physically owns the printer. He has all the components right there. It just simply won't work because of a switch or a subscription model, because of some software that tells him he's not allowed to use what he's using. It's if I had to guess, this was either a complete oversight, like this is a glitch or a bug, more so than any kind of maliciousness. They said that HP did not immediately respond to comment. If I had to guess, it's something about the software that would continuously have this this pop-up that if it can't verify, because it's going to send information back to HP about the level of the printer, the amount of pages printed, all that kind of thing, to make sure that when you are subscribed to this instant ink thing, that it needs to keep track of how much ink there is, how many pages you printed, when it's time to get new ink. And again, like they said, it would send it to you automatically. My gut reaction is that it's not able to make that connection because he canceled his subscription, and the software, for some reason, instead of saying, instead of having some kind of notification that you can say, clear or go away or just ignore, then it just kept popping up and it locked up the whole system altogether. I would say that it's probably not, I don't know. I would hate to think that this is done purposefully, that the way that he thinks it works is the way that it actually works. I'm not saying that it doesn't. This might be intended, and if that's the case, this is really egregious. People have, he's paid for the printer, he's paid for the ink, he's paid for all that kind of thing, and instead he gets this. Maybe somewhere deep down in the legalese, it says that, we're essentially leasing you this product. And by this product, I mean one of these ink cartridges. And we're leasing you this product, and you have to keep paying your lease to keep using this product. If that were the case, I'm not really a fan. Like, actually, now that I think about it, that makes a little bit of sense. Because then people could sign up for 1 month, get a free ink cartridge, and then they could cancel their subscription for the rest of the year. And they would get essentially a $50, ink cartridge for about $5. Maybe it's to prevent abuse like that. It's it's something that I'm not sure is very good for consumers. And by the way, if you're looking at the video portion, we have the HP Instant Ink program here on the website. The worst thing he could have done, or at least, one thing he could have done, was to knock down his printing back down to the free printing, where he gets 15 pages a month as opposed to 100 pages a month. And the 15 pages a month are free, so maybe that would have been a way for him to at least print the tweets he was trying to print, and then, kind of move on with his life. But instead, he decided, no, this is just not for me. So there's a lot to unpack here. I think instead of speculating, the best way to move forward is to wait for HP's response. Printer ink, printer cartridges, it's a very murky kind of situation, and I don't know what the best response is to it, but there you go. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and continue on to other stories. Not get hot under the collar about printers, but about other things. So, how about our next topic that we talk about here is going to be, and we have everything about Jeff Bezos, being hacked by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia and stuff like that. But we're kind of not worried about it. Okay, so Motorola. Let's talk about this in just a couple of days. Motorola will begin taking foldable pre-orders. So you may remember the Razr. People love the design, and Razr has a new phone coming out, although very expensive. I think that right now, not many people are going to be very interested in these foldable devices until they're until they're less expensive. But here we go. Razr will start taking pre-orders January 26th. Mark your calendars. Saying that the phone will then ship about 2 weeks later. You're looking at about available February 6th. So Motorola revived the Razr phone. Motorola's revived Razr phone was supposed to be available for pre-order back in December, but they pushed it back to significant consumer demand, so they say. Now, the phone maker is finally ready to take your reservations. Pre-sales for the foldable phone begin January 26th in the U.S. And like they said, it will be available in stores starting February 6th. That's probably where I'm going to go see it because, like heck, I'm going to pay $1,500 to use one of these phones. They will be exclusively available at Amazon, Walmart, and Motorola.com. And trust me, those floor models, if there are any at Walmart, are going to be, those things are going to be put to the test. So, with that being said, Motorola's new Razr phone has a foldable display. If you haven't seen those things, they're actually very, very cool, which allows it to be a modern smartphone with a full-size screen while staying true to the flagship's to the Razr flip form factor. The Razr back in the day, those things were the coolest, and being able to just kind of smack and just close those things with a loud bang, that was a large part of it. So it doesn't have the latest and greatest flagship components. They admit it's a design-first device, which means you're paying $1,500. You're paying as much as a top-end, top-of-the-line, best of the best iPhone for something that probably has something insides that are comparable to, I would say, a $500 or $600 smartphone. It's going to be much slower. It's not going to be as responsive as one of these phones. The cameras aren't going to be as good, but it will be in a different form factor, and that's what you're paying twice as much in the hardware for, and you're really you're paying for the ability to be an early adopter for the foldable components. It will set you back, as I said, $1,500. The phone definitely has a unique look that you can't get anywhere else, though. And for now, Samsung is rumored to be working on a clamshell-type foldable phone on its own. We've seen that in tablets at CES. We've seen foldable displays from a lot of different companies. This is not going to be the last form factor. I think what Razr has going forward is name brand recognition. People have very fond memories of what the Razr used to be to them. So I just don't think it's worth the price yet. Someone has to pay the price. It's just not going to be me. So let's go ahead and talk about going forward from here. How about the Xbox One X? Not the Xbox One X. That's what's currently out. The Xbox Series X. There you go. The Xbox Series X, or the newest Xbox that isn't out there yet. And we saw this, I think it was from Razr that was doing it, or some other company out at CES, and someone took someone took a photo of what people thought was a prototype of what the back of the Xbox was going to look like. And the company had to come out and say that this was false. This is not what it's going to look like. This was made in their own lab, and this is something that they built for demonstration purposes. And people have just been, ever since then, looking for the absolute, what could be the true blue, I don't know, what could be the back of an Xbox Series X and what could it look like? Because the back will tell us a lot. It will tell us, what it's going to be compatible with, what connections it's going to have, and more. So they said that this could be the back of an Xbox Series X caught out in the wild. So they said that images of an alleged prototype have surfaced on Twitter, and they're on the gaming forum NeoGAF, hinting at the various ports that will be available on Microsoft's next console. And they believe they are authentic and not the work of a 3D printing whiz kid. We can't confirm their legitimacy, but they're an improvement over the fake render AMD used. And that was who did it. Was not Razr, it was AMD who had a fake render. And trust me, the whole device is pretty clunky looking, so who knows. A large panel reads prototype, not for sale, and the alleged images show an optical port, 2 USB-A ports, Ethernet power, and a single HDMI port. You got that right. They said that the Xbox One family had a second HDMI port for pass-through shenanigans. There's also a long rectangular slot, which they explain is for diagnostic reporting and likely won't feature in the final console. We're months away from the Xbox Series X release, so retail versions could look completely different, but people are certainly on high alert trying to find, just what it's going to look like. So with that being said, let's go ahead and switch. I think we have time for like one more story. And how about we talk about this one? This coming to us from Bloomberg, and let's see, I think we can actually go directly to the article instead of from Engadget. So Apple, your favorite company that you love to hate because they're so successful, check this one out. Apple, they could be entering the low-cost iPhone, or they could make a new low-cost iPhone to enter mass production in February, saying that suppliers plan to begin assembling a new low-cost iPhone in February. People familiar with the plan said, and the company looks to address a wider swath of global smartphone market ahead of its 5G handsets later this year. And they mentioned that the company is expected to officially unveil the new phone as early as March, one person familiar with the roadmap said, and the assembly work for the new handset will be split among Han High Precision Industry, Pegatron Corp, and Winstron Corp. So the meat of it. This will be the first lower-cost iPhone since the iPhone SE. It will look similar to an iPhone 8 from 2017 with a 4.7-inch screen, and the iPhone 8 is still on the market, currently selling for about $449, whereas Apple sold the iPhone SE for about $399. The new phone is expected to have Touch ID built into the home button, reusing established Apple technology instead of opting for in-display fingerprint sensor like most modern Androids. So with that being said, Apple's more affordable iPhones have proven popular with consumers, including the latest iPhone 11. And this naming scheme actually became a little confusing, but hey, for people that don't know, iPhone 11 is the base model. I think it runs at like $799 or something like that, which is pretty affordable compared to what Apple is, charging for phones nowadays. And then they have the iPhone 11 Pro, which is the higher end, more traditional flagship model. And then they have the Pro Max, which is the larger form factor. They said that shares of Japan Display Inc., which supplies the LCD screens for Apple's lower tier phones, definitely went up. And Apple's planning a slew of new high-end iPhones for release later in 2020 that include 5G connectivity, faster processor, and a new 3D camera in the back. A cheaper offering may help Apple better compete in the more price-competitive, fast-growing emerging phone markets, because obviously if you're looking at China, India, and Africa, where most of the growth is going to be happening, people aren't going to purchase an $1,100 phone. Instead, they're going to look for something much cheaper, much more affordable, and even at like $350 or $400 that I think Apple's looking to hit with this. Of course, it's Apple, so there's going to be some, I don't want to say prestige, but there's going to be some value to having the Apple logo on it. But then on top of that, I guess consumers are going to have to decide, do we want the $200 Android phone or the $400 iPhone? Both are going to be about comparable in specs, screens, things like that. It's just a matter of, are people going to be drawn to Apple just because it's Apple? Just like they are in, kind of Western countries, in the US and Europe in particular. So everyone, that's about all we have for today. I mean, there are many other articles. We highly recommend that you go check them out. Music in the background means that we're just about done for the day. We want to thank you so much for tuning in to Compute America. Thank you to, of course, the Tactigon for joining us here and talking about their product. It was definitely a lot of fun to talk to them about what it is that they're doing and more. If you want to find out more, computeramerica.com. We'll have the show notes up. And if you missed any part of it, check out the podcast wherever podcasts are heard. It's a live radio show, rebroadcast. And hey, take us with you, time shift us, whatever you need. We always make that available. Everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, have a great day. Thank you. We'll catch you then. Bye, everyone.